Welcome to the Relationship and Wellness Podcast with Nicola. Nicola runs transformational breakthrough programs for individuals and couples and has several award-winning audio programs. For details, visit www.nicolabeer.com today. Please note, places are limited and are available on first-come, first-served basis.
Hi and welcome. This is Nicola Beer, and I'm going to be talking about cheating and sex addiction, how to recover from your addiction, and how to help your relationship. In this episode, I'm going to be focusing more on what the addict can do to recover and help their partner and the relationship heal. And I'm going to be creating a third podcast on this topic to help those that have discovered that their partner has cheated multiple times. So stay tuned for that. Do subscribe to the show. If you're willing, give it a rating or a review, just to help the show stay more visible and to make sure that you do not miss those episodes. Cheating addiction, sex addiction can be physical, but it doesn't have to be. It can also include indulging in sexting, cyber sex, fielding romantic attention on the internet, excessive porn viewing, excessive masturbation, and paying for sex work. For obvious reasons, cheating and sex addiction can destroy a relationship. It can also shatter a person who gets hurt multiple times and begins to doubt themselves. Many men and women who've been cheated on more than once feel like a fool, that they are weak, naive, stupid for loving and trusting their partner again. I always reiterate that this is not the case. It's harder to stay and to love and to trust again. That takes real courage and strength than to walk away. Some people feel that if they stay in the relationship, they are not loving and respecting and honouring themselves, that again there is something wrong with them. Some attack their looks, their age, their performance in sex. And whilst this is normal and natural, after the discovery of being cheated on has been revealed, it's definitely not the person's fault. There is always a choice by the other person to cheat or not to cheat. And in my experience working with thousands of couples, the cheating has nothing to do with the other person in over 95% of cases. It is always to do with the cheater's need to fix, change, or escape their feelings or thoughts. It is not always a bed of roses for the cheater either. For the sex addict, for the person that cheats again and again, most suffer with low self-esteem, don't feel appreciated, loved, wanted. Even if they're being given and shown loads of love and praise, they don't feel it because they're wounded from the past. The cycle of cheating often makes them feel worse about themselves. They carry guilt, shame, the hurt that they've caused, the exposure if shared with friends, family members, work colleagues, makes it even more painful. Often they come to me so angry at themselves for breaking their own values, their own morals, their own promises not to repeat the behaviour, for risking their whole future happiness for a quick thrill. I've spoken with both men and women who cheat for the challenge, the conquest, that they can get this person in bed to see how far that person will go with them. And then after, they're not interested. It was about proving to themselves that they are worthy, that they are desired, that they are attractive, that they are wanted. And often there is a deeper wound. Sometimes they never even want to see the person again that they've spent days or weeks or months chasing. They just wanted to see if they could. And I feel for the other men on the receiving end of this, or the other women on the receiving end of this. The mistress, I don't know what the male equivalent is for that. What do you call it? I don't know. But like the male person who's the third person that's cheating with the affair partner, they often have very low self-esteem. They often don't care if the man or woman is married. To them, sometimes it can also be a victory. See, I got this person over their husband or wife. They need attention. I want to talk now about age. Age can play a factor in developing a cheating addiction or sex addiction. For some people, age really is a concern for them. Many men and women that I've worked with said that when they hit 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, they worried that they were unattractive, not desired, and they sought to test it. Once I worked with this man who was 60, just turned 60, and for his whole 30-year marriage, he had slept with high-end prostitutes. And he came to me, worried about his age. He was having so many negative thoughts that he was now no longer wanted. And in our session, when we were working on boosting his self-esteem about his age, he just broke down into tears because his mind all of a sudden brought to him the realization that these high-end prostitutes were with him for money and power. And he'd been deluding himself all this time that they loved him, they liked him, they enjoyed his company, they were there because he was special. And it all kind of hit him at once, his behaviour. And he felt so down on himself. And he realised that through the deeper therapy work that we did, through not looking at the triggers of what stresses he had in life that caused him to call up one of these women, but looking much deeper into what was the wound, what hole was he trying to fill? Because we are all born whole, and somewhere along the line through life experiences, often at a very young age, we create holes in ourselves that we then need to fill. For him, growing up in the UK, he felt the odd one out because his skin was darker than other British children. He was from a different part in Europe. So he would go to great lengths to be liked at school. And he did this by misbehaving, being the class clown, and talking about his sexual conquests to get attention. And sex then became a way that he felt powerful, he felt seen, he felt a huge sense of self-worth. Many sex addicts that I've worked with will share with me that it's not even worth it. It's not even pleasurable, but the game is addictive. Sex addicts and cheating addicts alike pick the most vulnerable people to have affairs with, to cheat with. Those that respond quickly when they message them. Those that want attention. Those with low self-esteem. Those that cling to them. And this can appear that they have a powerful sexual or romantic connection, a strong chemistry. But often this is a wounded child attracting another wounded child. And if you don't like that, think of it this way. A person with a really low self-esteem, looking for more love and attention, looking to feel good about themselves, looking to be validated, and the other person is looking, and then they both give it to each other and they become attached. I find this working in the Middle East, sometimes with women who accept to be a second wife. They accept to be a legal mistress. Sometimes it's because of money. Sometimes it's because they believe deep down that that's the best they can get. That is what they are worth. They can't get their own man of status. Others are scared of intimacy, and that's why they cheat. They avoid intimacy in their romantic relationships and have sex chats with others, which can be so hurtful and so confusing for their partner. Because here they are being sexual, yet they're refusing sex with the person that they're living with, been in a relationship with for a long time. Many men shy away from intimacy in their relationship because they feel they will disappoint their partner sexually. either that it won't last very long, or it's not going to work for them, they can't get aroused enough, and the fear keeps them from avoiding their partner sexually. Fear of sex can happen overnight with one bad experience, and then it can cause a man to freeze up at the thought of sex with the one that they love. So they resort to sexting escorts or to test out their sexual attractiveness and performance with others. And clearly, if there is a mental block, most sexual problems are mental, psychological blocks that need to be cleared. A lot of people will go and take pills, get themselves checked out at the doctor, find that everything is fine. It's the psychological, mental thoughts that they're having before and during intimacy that lead to the problems. So what needs to happen for a cheating addict to recover, for the relationship to work again? Definitely there has to be, first of all, individual work to break the habit. Then support for the couple to rebuild. The person that's been cheated on might also decide to have some work to make progress with their own self-esteem that can be shattered, or just to decide what is best for them to do moving forward. So now I'm going to share some tips for what the person who has cheated can do to help save and strengthen their relationship after the affairs. The first thing is to be honest with yourself. Admitting that you have a problem is the foundation of any recovery process. You have to confront that you are cheating, that the habit is destructive and not good for you. You may recognize that cheating is providing some temporary relief, some benefit to you, and that you have become addicted to that. That despite all negative consequences, you find yourself unable to completely stop entirely. To also acknowledge that there is some void, uncomfortableness, need for attention that keeps you searching for recognition outside of you. Unless you get to the root of it and find healthy replacements to build your inner self, you may fall victim to the same or another addiction to escape, to numb or to fill the emptiness. Honesty about all of those elements are crucial. The next is take responsibility and be willing to take action to fix the addiction, to fix the cheating inside yourself. Most people I have spoken to believe that they can stop if they want to, yet often they can't. They may be able to stop for a few months, a few years, even a decade, but yet end up cheating again and again. The same cycle happens. They feel terrible afterwards, and often they get caught because so many men and women have that intuition. They can feel when something is off. Their gut, their mind, their heart just tells them, check the phone, check this. We are very perceptive. We can pick up on energy, we can pick up on body language, of course, and we can notice these subtle changes in people. Most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time. And to save the relationship, you must really consider the impact that the cheating has on the person and share that. Share that with your partner. Make a really deep, heartfelt apology. Admitting, I have sinned against you. I have wounded your soul. I have hurt you deeply. I have destroyed the trust in our relationship. I've crushed your feelings. Whatever it is, whatever language, is your language, however you would say it, it's so important to realise that this isn't something that a person is just going to get over quickly. The whole image of the life that they had with you is shattered. Often people describe the person that they're in a relationship with, the person they have children with, the person that they married as their rock, as their one go-to person, as the person that they thought they could rely on, that had their back, that loved them dearly. And then to have them do this, it can shatter those beliefs. and a person can feel very vulnerable and very alone. Another thing that is really important is to get really good at communication. Building completely open lines of communication with your partner is so important to rebuild shattered trust. Don't be afraid to overshare with them. If you struggle with emotional sharing of feelings, it might be necessary to do some work with a therapist to clear those barriers to expressing your emotions. Often people develop at a young age fear of conflict, fear of emotions, and they shut down. They walk away and they just don't know how to open up. And that's where I make sure if we do the breakthrough with someone that they do have those communication skills to be more open at the end of our breakthrough process. One man I worked with in a breakthrough program couldn't give emotional support to his wife because he had never had it. He couldn't give what he has never experienced. So I helped him to be emotionally vulnerable, to share and to give his wife the emotional connection she needed. It takes practice. However, once the root issues are uncovered and confidence is built, it is possible. Also, really make sure to avoid saying, I don't know, or I can't remember, as much as possible. So many men and women who are caught cheating for the second time say, I don't know. How long have you been doing it? I don't know. Why have you done it? I don't know. And they ask so many other questions and the answer is, I don't know. Now, if you really don't know why, if you really don't know, then give your partner the benefit of showing them that you really want to understand because you really want to stop this, and it's important to them to have the answers so that you're going to go and get some professional help to get to those answers. That I don't know is very frustrating. And some people feel like if they say they don't know, it's going to help smooth things over. It doesn't, because the question will still come up in the partner again and again and again, but why, but how? I need to know. Helping yourself know, helping your partner know will enable you to recover faster. Taking ownership includes understanding yourself. Why are you doing this? What are the triggers? What are the wounds? And how will you respond to those two things in the future? Monitoring is often used to rebuild trust. For some couples, they do that for a period of 3 months or 6 months or longer. It depends on the couple. Monitoring can include GPS tracking, shared calendar, giving passwords to phones, online banking, laptops, taking photos of people that they're with in meetings where it's possible. And it's really up to you to agree on this. The more willing you are, the more at peace your partner is going to feel. So being as open as you can in this is important. And so is becoming familiar with your triggers. Of course, we need to, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, get to the deeper issues, but triggers are also important to look at. So for some people, the trigger could be feeling stressed, feeling lonely, feeling bored. And it's also really important to look at what you say to yourself to justify your behaviour. Do you tell yourself you're a great husband, wife, you're a great mother, father, so this is harmless? Do you tell yourself it's not physical, it's just on the phone, it's not really cheating? Do you tell yourself it's something I do when I'm drunk, it's no big deal? Do you tell yourself that you'll stop it in a certain time? To look at your triggers, you can also do a diary, thinking back to what you were doing before, what you feel during, what you feel after. And now you've been caught, what do you really think about cheating, sex, intimacy in your relationship? If that doesn't give you the answers, sometimes people find it very difficult to sit and do that by themselves. Professional help can support someone to get to the triggers and to the root. Because When you do that, your partner's going to be able to forgive you more easily, knowing that you understand the reasons why. As cheating and sex addiction can go hand in hand with other addictive behaviours, sometimes you may also need to look at other addictions linked to it. I've had many people who cheat when they're drunk. Some black out and they don't even remember what's happened. They don't remember whether they've had sex with a person or not. Others sex when they're drinking alcohol and just wake up in the morning and think, oh, yeah, I did that. Others have addictions such as binge eating, smoking weed, shopping online, gambling to change the way they feel. And it's often useful to work at all addictions at the same time, because that person that has multiple addictions will maybe stop the cheating addiction but then have an online shopping addiction or a gaming addiction or an eating addiction. So it's really so important to dive deeper, which I'm going to come to before we finish in this episode today. So working on your self-esteem is also essential. It's one of the biggest reasons that people cheat. They have low self-esteem, they want to feel better about themselves, and getting attention from other people in a sexual way is the easiest way to go about it. I had one lady come to me for help in her dating life. She wasn't able to find a partner, and we did some work around, how she was on a first date, and she shared that she would talk about sex over dinner on a first date or over drinks. She was trying to get attention by using sex and then wondering why decent men were scared by this. And she felt that she was being attractive to them. And often people get this misperception by either that's the relationships they've had in the past, or from sexual abuse, or from believing that sex and love are the same thing. If someone has sex with you, they love you. When I have sex with someone, I'm seen, I'm wanted, and this is what I need. And that is their self-esteem linked up with sex. Another thing that you can do is to constantly reassure your partner. Apologize daily, reassure them daily, let them know that you love them, that you want them, that you are going to be there for them, that you're going to rebuild their trust, that you understand how painful and how traumatic it has been for them, and that you are not going to stop, even if they are angry, even if they don't want sex with you, even if they put you down, that you are there for them and that you want them. You can never reassure a person that's been cheated on enough. So I just want to bring back to the crucial point that I started with, and that is that the first step in recovery of any addiction is the omission of the addiction. Denial that the addiction is present, denial that the person is in control of their urges or impulses, or denial that the addiction is causing negative consequences will prevent recovery. Denial is so powerful, no one wants to admit that they cannot control their behaviour. No one wants to admit that whilst the addiction brings pleasure, it's harming others and it's harming their own view of themselves. Often cheating addiction goes against a person's values of being a good person, of being a caring, kind person. So many people addicted and well-meaning therapists will focus on the triggers that I mentioned. They will focus on, I was alone, we were sleeping in separate bedrooms, they're focused on the children, we weren't having sex, we weren't getting along, I had lots of pressure from outside, I was drunk, I needed a relief. Looking at the triggers can be helpful, but it is not enough. Let's take the analogy of a gun. The trigger on the gun is such a tiny part of the weapon, right? The trigger is tiny when you look at that whole gun. And the trigger may have caused the explosion. It's the catalyst. It may have caused the problem behavior to erupt. However, the focus really needs to be on the whole larger part of the gun, the ammunition, the wounding that a person has from their past. What's inside the gun? What's inside the person? What wounds do they have? What holes do they have? Is where we need to look at. Because if that is healed, even if there's a trigger, it's not going to cause a person to explode into problematic behavior. It's not going to lead to cheating, sexting, sex, whatever the form of cheating is. So it's the rest of the gun, the ammunition, what is inside that person, what are their beliefs, what are their feelings about themselves, about life, what do they tell themselves, what are their hurts, what are the decisions that they have decided about relationships, about what they need to do to get attention, to feel good about themselves. That is needed to be addressed. And of course, not everyone is willing to be honest. Not everyone is looking to look at their past. Often the person will say, no, I'm going to fix it myself. I know how to do it. I'm not addicted. I can just stop. And often they can stop for a moment, for a while. But then often, sadly, they end up repeating the same behavior because the pain of the discovery has worn off. It's gone out of their mind. They're more comfortable. They've forgotten the reason why they vowed they would never cheat again. And their mind tells them, pick up the phone, have a look, whatever their mind is telling them. So that's why it's so important to actually get support. I do not believe that people's brains are missing any elements, that there's something wrong with the person mentally and they were born like it. It's often that a person came into the world like most babies do, loving themselves, feeling that they are worthy of attention, and then something happens along the life experience where a person creates holes, and these holes then are filled with behavior to get their needs met, to get validated, to get seen, and these can lead to compulsions and self-harming behaviors in a way to protect themselves. In the next episode in this 3-part series, I'm going to be giving some tips for those who have discovered that their partner has cheated more than once, that are going through so much stress and agony, highs and lows, unsure what to do. So do make sure to look out for that coming up. If you'd like to find out more about working with me one-to-one, my breakthrough intensive for those that have a cheating and sex addiction, or for those that have been cheated on and are not sure what to do and are not sure how to clear the negative thoughts, the images, the resentments, the pain, you can go to my website. You can also book an introduction call with me if you want to discuss that further. And please do join the Facebook group. You can find the link along with this show. It's a lovely community. Nearly every day people are asking questions to the group on how to navigate through their different relationship issues. And there's a lot of wisdom and support being shared. And I'm really happy to connect with everybody closer in there. I do answer every question, and I hope you can join us. From my heart to yours, wishing you an amazing day ahead or evening ahead, wherever you are. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Relationship and Wellness Podcast with Nicola Beer. Check out the award-winning audio programs. Visit www.nicolabeer.com today.